All right. Good evening, everyone. Trust we're all fine. Good to have us on this call again. Okay. I believe you can hear my voice now. Yeah, if you can hear my voice, just say something in the comment section. Okay. All right. All right. So we'll continue with where we stopped. Right. So just a recap and a rundown, or more like a refresher from where we stopped. We started with creating a database on this project, and we created a table using data constraints, and we continued with feature engineering. And I said this is a technique in data analysis that helps us to generate new columns from existing information within your data set or your table. And then we continued with categorizing the time of the day pertaining to these data sets into different categories such as morning, afternoon, evening, and then we made use of aliases, creating temporary tables where we could just view it on our result output. Okay, and we auto-populated some of the columns that we created. So let me run this table, run this query rather. Okay, I think let me run this first. All right. Okay. So let's see what's in our table again. All right. All right. So this. Okay. So we have this retail data set. All right. So we kicked off, or we stopped at. Let's check where we stopped. All right. So we're still under feature engineering, generating columns. All right, from the information we have already. So we'll continue with this. So what we're trying to do here was to okay, we don't have the day name from this date colon here. So we're trying to generate a new colon, all right, for a day of the week. All right, so this is where we stop. So we use the select keyword so we are referring to the date colon here. If you take a look at this, you see that we are referring to the date colon here. All right, so that's what this query here means. And then this day name is a keyword where we can, more like if the function in Excel, we want to extract the day of the week from this colon. All right, so take a look at this like a function. All right, so we include the date here. All right, and the next thing we'll do is to make it as an alias as weekday. All right, so before, okay, let me just let me proceed with this, and then I'll walk us through the SQL project. Okay, the questions for the project. Right, so we call this as weekday. All right, I'll go very fast because of time, and we use the from keyword referring to the table we are requesting or querying data from. So if I run this, you see the output here. All right, so it has gone through each of the dates to return their respective time of the day or weekday from the date column. All right, so the next thing we will do is, so we say add weekday as the weekday as a new column. All right, it's a new column. Okay, so use the alter keyword because this is a DDL command using the alter keyword. Okay, so we say alter table name. Okay, alter table followed by the table name retail, and add colon rather. We name the colon as weekday. Okay, and we define the data type varchar. Okay, of how many characters? So I think the longest what's it called? The longest name of the week is Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so we say 12 characters. Let's just use that because of space. Remember, you just tailor your the length of your data according to what you are storing. So we say after date. This is the after keyword. So we are directing where the colon will be within the data set. All right. So after date, there's a colon called date. Let's be sure. So we have the date colon here. All right. So we want to put it after date. Okay. Okay. So go over here and run our query. Okay. So let's check this. All right. So we've created a new colon. We've created a new colon, as you can see, but it's not populated yet. So we still have null values. So the next thing we'll do is to populate it. So the insert keyword is, we use the insert keyword because this is a DML command. Okay, so we're inserting data into our table. So we said insert data into weekday colon. All right. So how we do this? We use the keyword update retail. That's the name of the table. So we use in conjunction with the set keyword. So remember when we are always updating our table, set is a keyword to update a data set, right? So we say set weekday equals, so we reference this equals this, okay, equals day name. So what it means is that when we apply this, we say day name using this keyword day name. All right, it's a library function, and when we put, so by default what it does is that it references this colon date in your table and then converts it using this library function. So this date is an argument within this library function day name. So we set update retail table and we are setting this colon name. This is the colon name. Remember your syntax, very, very important. All right, and then we put our semicolon. So we run it and weekday. Okay. What's happening? Am I writing the correct update? Set weekday equals day name, date. Okay. 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 All right. So we have our weekday colon populated here, right? Have our weekday colon populated here. So next thing we'll do. So all of these are just feature engineering. Okay. So let's move on to adding month name, because our analysis will involve us to generate insights relative to month. So we are creating these columns from what we have from the date column. So as an alias, right? So we say select date, right? Month name. So month name is a library function, all right? So like I said, so most of those library functions we didn't have time to look at. We would apply them here. So it's the same thing in Excel. It's the same thing in Power BI. These are just functions, all right, that requires arguments to be put in. So we click on the library function month name, okay, and then just like every Excel, date function. So these are like date functions in SQL, right? Like in Excel, we have date functions, we have text functions, um, we have logical functions. There are a lot of functions, right? So this is just what it is in SQL. Month name is a library function, it's like a date function. So we will pass in the argument that is required for this month name function, which is, in this case, we use the date because the date is our reference column. All right. So if you're asking why the date, is our reference column because it contains the information regarding our date. All right. So we use date and we say use this as an alias as month. All right. As month from retail. So you see how we are applying DDL, DML, right? So it's all we've been doing is like a building block. So it's the basics might not, you might not get to appreciate it very well until you begin to apply it. That's when you have a better understanding. So from retail, okay. So if we do this, this is what we'll see. All right. So this is just an alias. So we can see we generated the months. So now let's add it as a colon. So we just copy this because of time. Copy this, Control C. And remember, it's always beautiful when you have good, lines of comments. It gives you clarity on what you are doing. So we say alter table retail, add a new colon. We change this from weekday to month. Okay. So this is the month. Month is a string data type. So we make use of the var varying character, right? Using 12, and we put it after. Let's put it after date. Okay. Let's put it after date. So if we run this query, all right. So if we come over here, so if we run this now, so it's empty. So we'll auto-populate it. So it's the same. It's the same step. The same step. So let's get this, copy this, update retail, we change this from weekday to month. All right, and change it from day name to month name. All right. So we can now run this. All right. So let's be sure. So we can see we have our month colon here populated. Okay. That's a good one. So I think, okay, I think we are done. So let me show you. All right. So this is our project we're working on. All right. So basically, the aim of this project, okay, it's this is our SQL guided project, and it involves analyzing product sales and customer data. So take a look at this. So the aim of this project, okay, is to answer key business questions using SQL queries to analyze product performance, sales trends, and customer behavior. The data set includes transactional details like product lines. Remember, it's always important to go through your project. It's called data profiling. Understand what your data is talking about. Payment method, customer types, and revenue, calculating metrics. All right, so this is the guide to answer the questions, all right, in our data. So the project is segmented into categories such as product analysis, sales analysis, customer analysis, revenue, and profit calculation. So for every data set you work on in the future, all right, there's what we call data dictionary. It comes with information regarding the data, right? So if you just get into a new organization or firm, you get to see some of their database, and of course it can be very voluminous and can be intimidating at first sight. But then there's a dictionary where you can calculate most of your, or you get to understand what the data set is talking about. So you can see here, these are revenue and profit calculations. So this is showing cost. This is cost of goods. How do we calculate our cost of goods? So if you come over here, you can see we have COG, which means cost of goods. All right. So how did we come how did we get this value? How did this data set come across this value? So we come here and you get to understand it. So this is unit price times quantity. All right. We have the VAT. This is how it's calculated. All right. And we have the total revenue, which is also called the gross sales. Total revenue is equals VAT plus cost of goods sold. All right. So it's the cost and plus the value added tax. We have the gross profit. Gross profit is the total revenue minus cost of goods. All right. So of course, our formula: selling price minus cost price. Yes, it will give you profit. So if you reverse it, you can get your revenue if you take like terms. So this is just an understanding of what data set is. So most of the times your your data will come in this format, all right? Probably in an Excel sheet, the likes. So what are the deliverables? Okay, so SQL script that answers each of the above questions. Summary report with key insights will be drawn from your data set. All right, visualizations to highlight trends. So like someone asked earlier on or in one of our classes, okay, what's SQL all about? So you can see SQL helps you carry out analysis on your data. You can still carry out analysis using Excel. You can carry out analysis using Python, using Power BI. All right, but SQL is core for analysis. You see here, visualization is optional. So with the insight drawn from your data set, all right, you can go and visualize it in Excel or Power BI. Okay, so this is what the data set. So we'll start with product analysis and we'll answer some of these questions and look at sales analysis and the remaining part of this project. All right, let's dive into demo time. Okay, so I believe we are following me. You can still hear me. You could just signify in the comment section. All right, just could just so that we're in touch. Could just at maybe intermittently you could just say I'm with you, all right, just for proper communication. I would appreciate that. Okay, so okay, so we'll continue with our product analysis, right? Let me copy this. Put the comment here. So in the course of the analysis, we'll be answering generic questions. All right, so these are questions you would want to ask regarding sales data. Okay, answering generic questions. So when you hear the word generic questions, so these are data sets these are questions rather that will involve you to, so if you see a sales data set, for example, one of the questions you will want to ask is, okay, you can't see a sales data set and not ask questions regarding the product, regarding revenue, regarding sales, regarding profit. All right, so that's what we mean by generic questions. All right, and so this also varies across different kinds of data set and industries. So if you're working in healthcare, if you're working in HR department, if you're working in financial, risk assessment analyst, you get to ask some key questions that that are important or that are peculiar to that niche or industry. Okay, all right. So I'm yet to get. Okay. All right. So I just saw a comment. So let's look at what we have here. So the first question says, all right, how many unique product lines does this data set or does this company sell? All right, how many unique product lines? So we've answered this question over and over and over and over again in different tools we've been using. All right, so what it literally means is how many distinct product lines are available in the data set. So that's what it means. So you can carry out this analysis in Excel, in Power BI with different approach. So we'll do that in SQL. How many distinct product lines does this data represent? All right, so okay, let me copy this. So how do we do that? Oh, seems I copied the wrong thing. Okay. So we make use of the select keyword in order of SQL execution. The select keyword is always, in the writing order, it comes first, but in execution order, the select keyword, it's not in the first line of or in the first keyword to be executed, but in writing order, this is how you write it. So remember the select keyword, I'll be going over some of the things I mentioned in our previous classes, right, just to reinforce what we've learned. All right, so we say how many distinct products. lines are available in the data set. So first of all, in order to answer this question, the first approach will be, this is like a problem statement. All right. So it's a problem statement. So you have to, not a problem statement, it's a word problem. Yes, it's a word problem. But then this is English, but currently we're writing SQL, structured query language. So this is English language. This is what we'll be writing now is structured query language. Okay. And how do you break this down? Remember, so that's why I said most of these things we've been doing is a building block. So when you hear the word distinct product line, how many? When you hear how many, it suggests that it's a count that we're going to do. All right. And when you think of count, what category of of SQL commands comes to mind? All right, is it DDL? Is it DML? Is it DQL? Is it DCL? All right. So when we mentioned add a new month, all right. So what comes to your mind? I want to teach us how to think. All right. So what comes to your mind when you hear add a new colon? It's you are altering the structure of the database or the data set or the table. All right. So what comes to your mind should be DDL. Okay, DDL, it helps you alter your table. Okay, so when you hear that, so what make up DDL? You have the create, drop, alter, truncate, rename, right? So when you hear things like, okay, adding what's this one now, inserting data into the weekday column. So I want to start thinking analytically, start thinking as you are writing your queries. When you hear insert means you are manipulating your table, you are manipulating. We have the insert, we have the update, we have the delete. All right. So when you see questions like this, when you are able to think, it will help you. So I just mentioned it. How many distinct products? So when you hear the word how many, suggest count, and when you hear the word count, all right, it will suggest that you make use of your aggregate functions. All right. So this is how you begin to tackle it gradually. So we say select because of the writing order of SQL commands. Select comes first, and then we use the count keyword. Okay. So we say count. Now, how many distinct? We could have just used count, but since it's distinct, we use the distinct. And remember the aggregate, one of the aggregate functions I taught us. I think we still have the notes. Okay. Let me see if I still have that. Okay. So, I don't know if I still have that. Count. Just a refresher in case we've forgotten. Okay, count aggregate function. All right. Beautiful. So you can see this counts distinct non-values specified in the colon. This is the syntax. All right. So we have count all. So this is just a refresher. Can we see my screen? Can we see where I am currently? Just I'll need us to be prompt in responding via the chat, since there's a limitation to feedback here. All right. So we have different expressions of the count all the rows, including those in null value, and I gave examples of how to use them, rather. So in this case, we're using the distinct keyword. All right. So we say count distinct. All right. Use the distinct keyword. And then now, how many product lines? Okay, how many product lines? So what that means is that the count function has to go to the product line. So this is the table, and these are the information in the product line. So if you're using the count keyword, all right, what follows is the colon name. So don't forget the syntax. So if you have the syntax grounded, it will be easy to dissect these problems, all right, these word problems. So distinct followed by the colon name. That's what we're counting. So count distinct. So we'll reference the product line. All right. So you see how we are following what we've been taught. And we say as product count. So this as is an alias, all right? So we want to view the results. It's a temporary result. So it's not going to be stored in the data set like we've been doing, updating or adding new columns. So we say as, let's call it product count. All right. We say product count. Remember, you always use your underscore, you join them together because it will return an error if I give it as product count. Let's see. From, so we use the keyword from retail. Okay. So this is it. So you can see it's still showing me an error message here, or error sign rather. This green, this red X. All right. So what it means is that something is still wrong. So SQL is very intuitive, and if you are grounded with the basics, you'll be able to troubleshoot. So it's showing me that it's wrong. Is this alias? Right. So if I change this to a bottom, an underscore. Okay, no, I think it's all right. Okay. That's not the problem. I've seen it. All right. So I didn't close this bracket. You see, as is not alias. It's showing the alias is not valid at this position, expecting for lock selectable value. So we don't have a, we've not closed our bracket, so it's there. All right. However, it's still showing me this green. It's still showing me this red symbol, this red sign here. So count is not valid at this position. This is what it means. So I have to put it as an underscore. I have to put an underscore rather to know how to troubleshoot. Okay, so we run this. You run this, and you can see 6 unique product counts. Okay, 6 unique products. So if you come over here, what it means is that among the list of okay, so this is what we have. So we have the unique products here that are sold is food, beverage. Food and beverage is one of them. Health, beauty, sport and beauty. We have some of them here. Electronics and accessories. All right. Fashion accessories, sport and travel. So there are 6 unique products. That's what it means. So we've been able to answer the question. All right. So like I said, these are generic questions. Okay. These are generic questions. Okay. So the next question will be, okay. So popular payment method, okay. We want to know what payment method is used most frequently. Okay. Which payment method is used most frequently? Okay. So copy that and come over here and we'll change this to a comment. All right. So which payment method is used most frequently? That's the question. That's the question. So which payment method? Remember, I see this as word problems. All right, see this as word problems, and we're using SQL to crack it up. So which payment method is most frequently used? So how do we go about this? All right. So before I proceed, another way to do this is to, we could make use of the or. If I say or keyword, not or keyword, we just so we could say, another way to do this. So you could, we have different methods. All right. That's to answer this question. How many distinct products? We can copy this. Okay. Another way to do is to use this keyword. We'll get rid of this. Distinct to is, right. So we can just use select distinct product line. So that's another method to go about this. So if I run this, what's happening? Okay, so you can see, all right. So this is not an aggregate function, all right, but it gives you the value. Unlike the aggregate function, it returns. Remember what aggregate functions are? They are um, they are functions that return a summary value after performing calculations on a set of numbers or a range of values. All right. So unlike the count function that returns a number, the distinct returns values like this. All right. So to answer this question now, which payment method is most frequently used? It's almost the same logic, right? It's almost the same logic. So we'll approach it using the select keyword. Remember, you always right. So the select keyword, you say now. Remember what the select keyword does. The select keyword returns its what's the word now? It just highlights or it returns specified columns within a table, right? So if I have a table of 30 columns, if I want just 3 columns to be returned, I put them now and I will see them in my result output. All right, so that's the select keyword. You can be able to do that. So I want to return, so I want my report or my result output to have the column name of or the names of the payment method. So if you take a look at this project, this data set, the payment method here, we have credit card, we have cash, we have e-wallet. I don't know if there are other methods of payment now where I can just see at a glance. We have credit card, e-wallet, we have cash. All right. So for us to know the most what's the question again? The most frequently used payment method, we have to relate it to a value, a count. All right. So in the sense that we see credit card here and then we have a number representing how many times transactions were made using that credit card. So we see e-wallet here and the following metric, there should be a metric, a gauge to measure how often this method was used to make transactions. All right. So that means we are counting. So it suggests or it suggests that we're going to use an aggregate function. All right. So I'm trying to show us how to dissect these questions, okay, using SQL command. I think it's easy to do this in Power BI. It's easy to do it in Excel. All right. So because I believe a large percentage of us here, we already have a background knowledge in these other tools. So we return the payment method. Okay. So we say payment method. All right. So that's using the select keyword. Now we would introduce the count function. All right. So remember how the count function. So understand how to use these queries. Okay. You see, if we wanted when we wanted to count, we selected we use the select keyword and the count followed by the if you see, the count aggregate function is used to return the number of rows that match a specified condition. It's particularly useful for counting rows in a table, rows that meet certain conditions. All right. I think there's some. I'm just trying to bring to our mind some refreshers, key points here. Okay, so let's progress. All right, so we use the count function. Okay, we say count. Now, what are we counting? All right, we are counting. This is the count function we are making use of now. We're making use of this other expression of the count function. All right, count this expression, count, and then the colon name. We're no longer using distinct, so we're going to count non-values in the specified columns. All right, it counts non-null values. So we're going to count everything that has a value. So if there's a null value, it won't count it. Okay, so we say count. What are we counting now? Since they said which payment method is frequently used, so we count all the payment method in the colon payment method. We are going to count everything. All right. all the transaction. Remember, these are unique records for each entry or each transactions as noted or as known by our unique IDs. So we count all of them. So we count the payment method, okay, and then all of these are optional. This I'm about to use the alias. I could just return my values, but if we want to see our values, we use alias. Okay, remember it's a what's it called now? It's a temporary way of visualizing our results in our output section from retail, okay, from the retail table, okay. So why is this showing me? Okay, so I didn't put my comma here, all right. So this whole this is a block of SQL statements, all right. So I have to put my comma here. So if we run this, let's see what it gives us. Okay, so it's showing us the error here. Okay, showing inaggregated query without group by. Okay, so list contains. All right, so let me explain this for us now. Okay, so they run an error. All right, so I believe we understand this block of query here. Select payment method. That's this select keyword is to return it in our output. We're seeing it, and then we have to use a metric to gauge the number of transactions that were made using different payment methods, using the count. We're aggregating it. I'm still hold on. I'm trying to see how I could explain this. Okay. So the next keyword we use is the group by keyword. All right. And I'll explain why we're using the group by keyword. From retail. Let me check this. Okay. We'll use group by payment method. Okay. So let's run this. All right. So this is what your query will look like. The result of your query will look like. All right. We have the credit card. We have the payment count. Now, this is what I did here before I explain this. So the reason this select keyword was used is because let me run this again. Let me explain the query. We needed to use the select keyword so that we will have a visual or the return output like this in our output, the output section. All right. So we counted the payment method, which is using an aggregated function, and we used an alias. So this alias here is what is giving us this. The alias is why we're able to see this like this in the result output. All right. So the from, of course, this is the building block of writing your SQL queries. You are telling SQL, all right, go fetch me this information from the table. Go get me a bottle of water from where? From the fridge. All right. So this is just an analogy to use. So Having done that, for us to see it in this format, right, as shown here, we have to group it. So remember the group by function, how it works, right? So the group by, like I said, it groups unique values together, all right? Similar values together, and it takes similar values together and then group them. That's the reason why we were able to see it like this. So what the count function did is that it went through like more like an iterative process, went through each records, all right, and counted the payment method. So each time it went and it saw credit card, it saw credit card here, it saw credit card again, it saw credit card, it saw credit card. It was counting it. That's what this function is doing here. All right, that's what this count function is doing here. It was counting payment method. So it was counting it. So at the same time, simultaneously, once it sees e-wallet, it counts e-wallet, counts e-wallet, it goes again, counts e-wallet, counts e-wallet. When it sees cash, it counts cash, counts cash. So that's what this function here was doing. All right, from the retail table, of course, we understand it. And then to be able to see our result, all right, we have to group it. This is what this question means here. Which payment method is used most frequently? All right, so we need to get that by the group. So what the group function, the group clause rather did is to group each unique payment method together. All right, and then we created an alias and a temporary colon using the payment count here. All right, and it has given us, so we can see a total of 309 transactions that were made using the credit card, all right, and that of e-wallet 349 and cash 344, all right. So you can see we've still not answered the question, all right. Well, we can see it like this. By mere looking at it, we know which is the most used payment method, all right. So just maybe in less than just in seconds, can anyone tell me what we can still do with this query to enhance our result output? Can anyone? What can we still do with this query to be able to enhance our? Could just drop something in the comments chat to enhance our beautiful. So Victoria has just dropped that. So we use the order by, all right. So we use the order by, beautiful, all right. So since the question says which payment method is the most frequently used, so imagine we had hundreds of payment methods, all right. So you won't only see credit card here, you won't see e-wallet alone, or neither you will see cash. You will see all of them appearing below, down. So to answer the question, which is the most frequently, that's which of the payment method had the highest number of counts, right? So we can just shift this semicolon and use the group by. So I want you to understand the order of execution. We can't use group by immediately after your from, all right? So, or you can't just put group by under beneath order by. So you should understand the order of execution. That's why I'm taking time to see how I can break this to each and every one of our understanding at the rate we can comprehend. All right, so we use the order by. All right, so if you need a refresher, go back, look at the videos. All right, look at the videos, take a look at those notes. All right, I believe I've dropped some of those notes: count, group by, order by. All right, let's look at the group by clause here. So you can see the group by clause in MySQL is used to group rows that have same values, all right, into summary values. It's also used with aggregate function. It's often used rather like some counts. Here we use the count. So take time, all right, take time, go over this. So you can see, select, look at this. This is the syntax we just applied now, all right. This is the syntax just applied now. Select the colon name, all right, followed by the count. So followed by an aggregate function here, count, all right. And you can see it here. Select the colon name followed by the aggregate function count, all right. Any aggregate function from the retail table, and you group it. So you see how we just apply the group by and then group by. So the column name should be the same. So the column name should be the same with what is selected. All right. The column name, what you are grouping by, should be what is counting to. You can see there should be a match most of the time. All right. Group by payment method. I selected payment method earlier on. All right. So you can see. So you can group by anything anyway, but in order of execution or in order of writing in your SQL code, this is what it is. So so the next thing we'll do is to use the order by keyword, order by. So you can see we have credit card here, 309. So we want this 344 to come to the top. So we say order by, what are we ordering by now? We're going to order by, this time around, we're going to order by payment count. All right. Because it's the count. We want to order this colon here. So we say order by payment count. Oh, we'll cut this out. Okay, order by payment count. Oh, what have I done? Okay. Order by, okay, order by payment count. All right. Yeah. So if I run this query here, okay, let me get rid of this. So just take note, we have 309 here and 304. All right, so we see by default, SQL orders it in ascending order. So we want to order it in descending order because we're interested in seeing the most. Is it descending? Okay, DSC. All right, so we see 344 is stopping it, followed by 342, followed by 309. All right, so we can say that cash is the most payment method. Wow, isn't this interesting? Cash is the most payment method. Cash is the most payment method. All right. So well, let's work with what we have already. I would like to ask a question. I wish I could get an answer. So we're carrying out analysis now, all right? And let me just use this time to say some things. Okay, so like I would always mention, in real scenarios, all right, you're working with real life data sets. This data set, it's not a dummy data set, it's a real data set. However, it's you might have limitations to understanding what the data set really represents if you weren't the one that collected the data set. Okay, and what do I mean? You can't just look at this data set, and the best you could just do is to um, have a diagnostic analysis. Okay, there are different kinds of data analysis: predictive analysis, prescriptive, diagnostic analysis. All right, so now we can't really tell because we are just seeing this data set now. The best we could do with this data is to just get an informed insight that cash is the most payment count. Sorry, is the most payment method. All right, is the most payment method. But what really influenced cash being the most payment method? We're carrying out analysis now. When you hear the word, when you hear us say SQL is used for analysis, okay, it's not that the tool will just give you insight. You are making use of the tool. It's a means to an end. So remember when the onboarding session we had some months ago, one of the core skills you have as a data analyst, okay, is critical thinking. So aside using the tool, there are a lot of people out there that know how to use the tool better than you could do or we can. All right, but what will set you apart is how to think regarding your data set, how to generate insights. All right, so I would say the tool is secondary. All right, generating insight is primary. So we've been asking, how do we really generate insight? So this is this will be a demo. It's a live practical session we're having here. So you can see now, if you want to, we've answered the question, which is part of it, which is the most payment method, cash, followed by e-wallet, and then followed by credit card. That means the instance where this data was collected, cash was dominating in the payment method. So how do we generate insight from this now? Okay, I would have loved responses, but let's work with time, and let's work with what we have. Okay, I would have loved to really hear our feedback. I would have loved to really hear our feedback, because this is really we have to, it's going to be practical. All right, you could drop your thoughts in the comment section anyway. But so let me proceed. All right, so this data set could have been collected probably in a region where the advent of technology has not been seen. All right, because in our world today, technology is really fast advancing. Most of the transactions made, all right, is done using credit card transfers, e-wallet, digital currencies, okay, cryptocurrencies, right? So, but when you see something like cash, so this could suggest that, okay, let me remind us of what happened. Remember, there was a time for those of us that are in Nigeria, you understand better, where there was scarcity in naira, all right, and we had it could even be during COVID period, okay, but this is negating the cash, because during COVID period we had I don't think physical contact with cash, a lot of things, and of course it will have a drastic effect in the amount with which transaction. Yes, the example just came to mind during the election, rather. I think during the 2019 election, when there was scarcity in scarcity in naira, right? So this could be also a contributing factor in a place where I'm just trying to tell you how you can analyze your data. Let's say in the market environment now, where a lot of people have not adopted the advent of technology. In the marketplace, you will hardly see people wanting to do transfer, because there's no currency inclusion. They're still skeptical about technology. So you see someone in the marketplace, can I make transfer? And the response you get is no, I beg you, no, do you get cash? Those kind of things you get. So I'm trying to show us how we can look at the surrounding events that happened as a result of this data collection. Okay, so what it means, what I can generate, I've given different examples. All right, I've given during the time of COVID, I've given pointed to the election, I've pointed to the market scene. Now let's narrow down. Assuming this data set was collected, all right, in a market, in a marketplace. In the market is where transaction happen, okay, and we recorded this data. All right, what that means is that what we could see, or the insight can be gotten from that is that we see traders, all right, have not adopted online transaction yet. That's an insight. So when next you hear the word SQL is used for analysis, what it means basically is just the tool. Who is carrying out the analysis? You are the one actually thinking. All right, you are the one actually thinking. So still using that use case, the marketplace. So we can say that you can start documenting this thing down. All right, probably the advent of technology has not been really, I don't know why that word is just coming to mind, has not been really adopted. Okay, there was a time where I was working on a team. It was a hackathon project, and myself and my teammates were trying to, I think the theme of their program was Naira inclusion. All right, it was a CBN project, just this usual hackathons that come in year in year out, and we just try to use it to strengthen our our hands, build portfolio. So we're working on the project, and it was CBN. and it was ravaging different institutions, joining and just see, and we're trying to see how we could adopt Naira inclusion, in-era rather, not Naira, in-era inclusion, and then the possibility of people adopting in-era, all right? For Naira inclusion, when you hear the word inclusion, means it's open to all. Okay, it's not excluded. It's inclusion is open to all. That means if you're using a any kind of phone gadget, if it's an Android phone, if it's a Nokia phone, touchlight phone, you should be able to make transactions. That's what the project was aiming at. All right. So carrying out analysis like this, which payment method is used most frequently? Okay, we've seen that cash. So we can tell. That's why I said this data set, we have limitations to the data set because we don't really know where this data set was gotten from. But if we are assuming that it's a market, maybe it's in market square, or up till today, up till now, taxi drivers will still decline transactions. All right, they want their cash. You can also point this to different generations. Gen Zs these days, we are good to go. Anything works for us. Cash or e-wallet or credit card, anything. All right. So you could also trace this to demography. All right. This payment method, cash, who is it who is it related to? Which demography, which region, all right, are still yet to adopt change, are still yet to embrace technology. All right. So now that we've streamlined to, let's say, the market square, or in the transportation industry, transactions are still being done in cash. We can now begin to make informed decisions. Should we carry out campaign strategies? How do we go about? Because in the long run, all of these two can still add to the advancement of a country. All right. So we can begin to do what's it called, enlightenment in various sectors. All right. To if we have the demography, okay, it's saying the aged people are still really bent on using cash. And the truth is, whether we like it or not, technology comes. If you don't change, the world will change and leave you. All right, that's the reality. All right. When I look back, I see our parents. They're now adopting technology. That's the reality of things. Using WhatsApp. All right. These were people who were still using, they didn't even have phone. But the reality of things is that if you're not on WhatsApp today, you are left behind. That's where the world is going to. So I'm just trying to push this, see how we can carry how analysis is done. All right. So beyond the functions, beyond the tools, beyond the queries, all right, you are the one actually doing the analysis. Critical thinking is one of them. All right. Which payment method is used most frequently, and how does it affect business? All right. How does it affect security in sense? So we could tie it down. If I keep on saying a lot of, if I keep on trying to expatiate, you see that there are limitless possibilities to how we can generate insight from data sets. So whilst you are redoing this project, because this is a guided project, begin to document all of these things down. All right. Begin to document. This is what will make up your report. This is what will make up your insight. This is what will make up your recommendations when we analyze this data. So it's just a demo. It's just a foretaste of what you get to see in the real world. All right. The real world is really different from all of this hands-on project we are doing now. In the real world, you get to understand and appreciate what you're learning better. So I hope this just gives us understanding of how analysis is done. Okay. Are we still there? Are we still there on the group chat? Are we still there on the call rather? Just if you could just just type something just to let me know you are still with me. All right. So next question will be the next question will be, let me check. I would run very fast because of time. All right. So it says, which product line has the highest number of sales? So how do we go about this? How to go about this? Let's go back. Okay, let me copy this. Which product line has the highest number of sales? Okay. Which product line has the highest number of sales? All right, so I'll just go through all of those things I mentioned. So it's the same thing. We'll just be copying and pasting. So let me copy this. Um, it's the same approach. All right. Oh, it's the same approach. All right. So we say product line. So of course, which product line? We're no longer working with product payment methods, product line. So we change it to payment method, product line rather. Product line. All right. I would prefer we use the chat box. All right. So that I can see our engagement. I would prefer we use the chat box. More of the chat box than the emojis or the reactions. All right. So we say um, so this what which when you see which product line has the highest, when you see the word highest, these keywords here, highest, which product line, it suggests you should be able to interpret it highest count. So we have to count and compare, count and compare. How do you count and compare? Group by. So these are just cues you get to know while you're carrying out your analysis. All right. So please document some of these things I'm saying, all right, so that we'll be able to have something, come up with our reports, write them, document this thing down. This is how you generate insight and make recommendations, all right? So right now, the recommendations we might have may not be really specific or just vague because it's just a way to practice so that when you're working in the real world, you know how to go about it. So product line, count of payment of product line, all right. So I'm going very fast, going very fast. I believe I've laid a solid foundation. So we can say this is product count from retail group by, just copy all of this, group by product line. Okay, order by product count. All right. So we've run this now. So it's the same thing. Same. So you can see product count now. All right, we have the fashion accessories, we have the food beverages, we have the electronic accessory, we have the sport and travel, home, lifestyle. So we say this product count, the highest is fashion accessories, right? Fashion and accessories. Okay, so we know that most people are patronizing um, fashion, fashion items more than food and beverages, electronic and accessories. So these are just KPIs that informs a business on what to do. All right. So when you see what your data gives you, it directs you, or it gives you um, gives you an information and tells you and helps to guide you on what to do. All right. So that's for the product line. So let's see our next question here. It says top selling product line. Which product line has the highest? Mm, okay, we've just done that. Yeah. So this is month revenue trends. What is the total revenue generated each month? Okay. So copy this. Total revenue generated is each month. So what is total revenue generated each month? I would go about this. Okay, so total revenue generated each month. So this is how we break it. Select. So total, what is the total revenue generated each month? Right. So we have different months. So we want to see it. Of course, select your month colon. All right. So total revenue. Total revenue. What is total revenue? What does that suggest to you? what is the total revenue? We've answered the question like this. You can use this to answer this now. Which payment method is used most frequently? This one says highest. Okay. What is the total revenue? Can someone type it in the comment section, the comment box? What is the total? What do you think we do next? What is the total? What do you think we do next? What is the total revenue? No one is answering. It's simple. It's the same thing. Okay. I'm waiting. Okay, someone has given select total sales colon. Yes, you are close. All right, so we're going to use an aggregate function, right? Deborah, that's a good one. So we use we use the sum aggregate function, sum. Right, so the sum library function, rather, it's an aggregate function anyway. And then beautiful, and we use the total, the colon. Okay, I think we have the data set now, so we can take a look at the data set. So the question says the total revenue for each month. Total revenue for each month. So total revenue. Remember, when I walked us through the data set, I said the total represents our revenue. All right, the total represents the revenue. All right, so we come over here and say total revenue. What did I just see? Is it total or total sales? Okay, total. All right. So we say total. As total revenue. Okay. So select the month as total revenue. From with practice, you get to understand this, okay? From retail, okay? So we'll have to group this, group by, how do we group it now? We're going to group by month, okay? Let me write small letter so that we don't get confused. We'll group by month. And then we order by. Yes, Deborah. Yeah, so we order by we order by total revenue. I hope you understand why we're ordering by total revenue. Okay, so if I halt my query here, this thing is still showing me a negative a warning sign. I put my comma here. So if I run this, you can see total revenue here. So March, January, and February. So this data set was collected within 3 months. All right, just 3 months: March, January, February, and this is total revenue. We can see 116,000 here, which is the highest, followed by 108, and then followed by 95727. Okay, so we just have this data set. This data set spans across 3 months: March, January, February. All right, so so let's order it. So we can say order by. So now you know why we're ordering by, so that we don't just cram it and not understand the syntax. Before the Uyoyo, I hope I pronounced that name correctly. You why that comment? So we order by by total revenue. Okay, by revenue. Okay, so you can see. Okay, this is by default by descending. Sorry, descending order. By default, it's orders by, is it extending or descending? What's the, okay, descending, DES. All right, so you can see January has the most sales revenue generated, followed by March, followed by February. All right, so if you take a look at this, this is not, we can format this better because we have like 4 decimal points here. So let's round this to 2 decimal places. So we can use the format keyword. All right, I think this is format keyword. All right, put the, okay, and we put our comma sign here. We want it to maybe 2 decimal places. Okay, so if we run this again, so we see 95. So you can see we've formatted it. What's happening? What about descending order? Why is it giving me? Hmm. Why is this thing giving me? Okay, attend to that. So we have January to be the highest. I'm surprised why this is giving me. Um, that's not descending order. Is it because I formatted it? Right. So let me draw insight from here. Why we'll see, we can attend to that later. Let me draw. Um, so yes. So I don't want us to just go ahead to analyzing data and we don't know how to generate insights. So you're going to ask a lot of questions. Remember I remember in onboarding session also where um, Mr. Daniel, walked us through that session, and we saw that part. Like I'm always referencing back to where we started from. Part of our analysis, part of our data analysis is also to we I'm missing my flow of thought. Okay, there was something I wanted to say. Just skip my mind now. I hope I recall. Okay, yes, yes. So part of the data analysis process, all right, from the preparatory processes, the asking phase, um, exploratory phase, and different. That's the phases of data analysis, the life cycle rather, right? Asking question is so. Asking question is one of them. You ask questions at data analysis. Why you question a lot of things? Why is this happening? You're trying to diagnose. That falls under that category of data analysis. You're asking, and then predict. When you get answers, prediction is more like getting information from from the past. Okay, all right. to make decisions for the future. So you are predicting with, so that's you are making reference to historical data, right? And then you're trying to predict what's going to happen. And then prescriptive is, you are prescribing what can be done. All right. So when you ask questions as a data analyst, you ask questions during your analysis, right? So if you take a look at this data set now, this result output, okay. So we see that January has the highest sale. Let me remove this format first and see if this thing will go off. I'm not just comfortable with why it's not ordering. Probably it has to do with data type issue, because I've encountered something like this before. When your data set is wrongly formatted, it orders it in a wrong. Okay, but let's leave it like this, because I think I'm more comfortable. I don't know why I'm not able to troubleshoot that right now. So so we see that January, okay, January has the highest sale. So what 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 does this mean? All right, what does this mean? So like I said, what this project or what this data set can help us know is just how prepare us for how we can carry out real analysis on real project, real data set, that you understand the the the, the surrounding events, the happenings around it. All right. Okay. So that's what this data set, it's like a demo, what we can know about. It just prepares us to how it's done in real world. Okay. So I don't just want us to get values and then go and we say we are done with analysis. We ask questions too. That's part of the critical thinking. So January has the highest sales. Why? 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 We could still trace this to the use of payment method, cash. So when traders, for example, when wholesalers, this is a retail data set, right? When retailers probably refuse online transaction, people who have not adopted technology, right? It will have effect in one way or the other. It will have effect in one way or the other. It will have effect very well. Okay, so I think we can relate now when we go to places and we can't make transactions with cash, or we can't make transactions. It alters our motive. All right, the reason why we wanted to make transaction, it can be frustrating sometimes. All right, and we can also trace it to when all of this happened, which week, which month, which day, right? But so that's why I said you should be able to cultivate that habit of asking questions, trying to trace things. All right, you are doing a research or you are analyzing something. Okay, so it's the same thing with data analysis. So now this is the first quarter. If you take a look, the first thing you observe that this is the first quarter of the year, and this data set was collected during the first quarter of a particular year. All right, do we have our year in this? Okay, 2019. Okay, 2019. This data set was collected it was in 2019. So we're working with this what we have here. So that's the first thing. As a data analyst, you'll be able to spot what's happening within your data set. You have that sight of an eagle. Go deep. It will take a while to develop. These are skills, these are traits you develop as you go on. So the first thing we can just observe is that this was, when we look at this, wow, January, March, February signifies first quarter of the year. So now let's assume, all right, because since we don't have the entire scope of the events surrounding this data, the collection of this data, let's now work with, let's just make some assumptions. All right. Of course, data analysis, when you're carrying out data analysis, you don't make assumptions. All right. You work with informed driven decision, with informed insights. All right. To make informed decision. That's what data analysis. But for the sake of this class, we're trying to simulate the events surrounding the collection of this data. So let's assume that this data set was collected. Okay, not assume. Yes, okay, we see that it's collected in the first quarter of the year. So now one thing we could see, coming from my perspective, I would say that the first quarter of the year had the most sales. Okay, first quarter of the year, or the first month in the first quarter of the year had the most sales. It could be, I'm trying to draw insight now. It could be that if we have the full information regarding the data collection, it could be that online stores, right, or e-commerce business, they ran a promo. So let's imagine we were working as a sales rep or a data analyst in a company, all right? You would know what's happening. You would know how the data were collected. So you know whether you were running a promo at that time. So it will help you. So let's assume that the promo was run here at this particular point. Or it could even be deflation when there's a reduction in demand. So let's assume now, okay, January, it could be, okay, I'm talking from my perspective now. I know from over the years, I've observed things that when the year is coming, when there are particular seasons in the year, when it's coming to particular seasons, inflation occurs. During Christmas now, it's festive period, things will increase. All right, please, if we're still on the call, you could just type "I'm with you." All right, just type "I'm with you" on the call. So let me see that, please. Just say something in the comments. So we can see that inflation happens during particular seasons. So let's assume this. Okay, not this Christmas period inflation. Of course, most of the time, I can say this with historic data. I can say this for a fact that inflation happens 90% of the time when we're approaching festive seasons like this, right? And deflation occurs after festive period. So I remember growing up, we buy Christmas clothes, we buy things in the period, but the smart ones will say, no, let's wait after the Christmas. All right, so we're in the Christmas season now. A lot of things have increased. In fact, the stock market will change, prices of goods, transportation will increase. All right, transportation will increase, cost of goods will increase, foodstuff will increase, a lot of things will increase. There will be promos too. Black November, Black Friday November, Jumia. All right. So that's what I'm trying to say. So if we want to draw insight from this now, so beyond getting, I'm taking time to explain this because in no time I see most of us, working in different sectors of the economy. All right, starting our businesses, we're working with a team, and this is how you carry out analysis. All right. So beyond what is the total revenue generated each month, you should be able to have understanding of your data set. That's what data analysis is all about. All right. So beyond the values, what do they represent? Beyond the numbers, exactly. Beyond the numbers, what do they represent? All right. So beyond the numbers, what do they represent? So we can see that I'm just giving assumptions now. I'm just making drawing inference from the data we have. So first quarter of the year, even though most people spend their money during Christmas, okay, sales are made. So I'm just trying to see how we can pin out things from this analysis, right? So January, of course, a lot of things will go down. A lot of things will go down. A lot of things will go down, even in March, even in February, all right? Because that festive period, the whole, increase in everything might have reduced. So put this down, all right? Document this. This is how you now begin to make recommendations, all right? So we can say that during the first quarter of the year, if you are writing a report, if you are making recommendations, all right, okay, you're writing a report, why did sales increase like this? So we say that most customers, now let's relate it back to reality now. So if you're writing a report back to your stakeholders, we can say that, oh, well, we saw that we made a lot of sales in January, March, February, and it occurred in the first quarter of the year, all right, prior to the COVID, the global pandemic, which was in 2020. This is 2019, all right. So we saw that sales were made. We had the highest sales in the first quarter of the year. Probably customers targeted the first quarter of the year to make purchase, to make transactions. All right. So what do we do now with the information we have? Is wanting to understand the timing, all right, to understand the season, to understand that, and is wanting to know what to do and to act. All right. So we've understood the time here, that it was in the first quarter of the year. All right. So understanding the time will tell you what to do. That's the second thing. What to do. Oh, could we now promote sales during this period? if you buy this, you get this. All right, or we give early birds, or we give discount to early birds. We give um, we give offers to our high value customers and even low value customers to encourage them during this period. So we see that people are saving a lot of money. People are saving a lot of money to make purchase, to make transactions at this point of the year. Are you seeing how recommendations come about now? So the three things you should take home: understand what's happening in data set, all right? Understanding what's happening, the events around it. That's one thing. So having gotten understanding about it, it will tell you what to do. That's the second thing. So you should be able to draw insight on what to do. And next thing now is to make recommendations. That's taking actions. All right. So you suggest, that's the recommendations. You draw insight and then you make recommendations. Oh, and that's where predictive analysis comes in now. So all what we're doing now is diagnostic analysis. All right. So we now begin to make predictive analysis. So this is what we can do. Am I communicating? This is what we can do. All right. And then you can begin to now move up the ladder, prescriptive analysis. All right. So if you're with me, just type "I'm with you." Type "I'm with you." Let me move on. All right. So please take this down. Take this down. Have a mental note. Have a written note on how to document, your insights gotten from your analysis. All right. I'm with you. I'm with you. Put it in the comment section. Put it in the comment section. Put it in the comment section. We're making progress. All right. Okay. All right. So the next question is, which month has recorded the highest cost of goods sold? Okay. So let me run through this. Let me run through this. So copy this. So when you see which month has highest, you see from those words, you should be able to interpret them and how to how to relate it using answer the question using SQL. So this, so we say which month, so we know which month. So we are selecting we are retrieving just the month in the column. All right. So using the sum, which month has the highest cost of goods sold? So we're going to use the sum, and we'll pass the cost of goods colon into the sum library function as an argument. So we say COGS, right, as total COGS. Okay, from retail group by month, yes, and then order by COGS, total COGS. COGS. Okay, so if we run this, okay, so we can see total cost of good. Okay, this is total cost of good. January has the highest total cost of goods sold. That's the cost. Before you get your revenue, you have to calculate your subtract your before you get your profit, rather, you have to subtract your your sales from your revenue, all right, to get your profit. So that means they made a lot of expenses in January, all right, followed by March, followed by February. So the highest expense they made was in January. And let's see how that relates to their revenue. All right. So we're carrying out analysis now. You can see the total revenue gotten here was in January. It was recorded in January. They made the highest revenue in January, followed by March and followed by February. So you can see that there's a similarity in the both of them. Let's run this. It follows the same order: January, March, February. This is for total cost of goods. That's the total cost in production, and this is the total revenue generated after production: January, February, March. So let's take a look at the values. So we have 11,000 here, 116,000 rather, followed by 108. So let's check what's here. Cost of goods. This is 110,000 rather, followed by 103. So there's a close relationship, all right? There's a close relationship here, more like a correlation. So we cannot really draw it a conclusion anyway because the sample we have is small, all right? So the information or the inference will be drawn out of this insight might be biased because we just have the sample. When I mean the sample is small, is that there are just 3 samples, all right, 3 months, all right. So if we had, let's say, 60 months, for example, or 3 years, or 2 years, or 6 months, and we can say there's a relationship, right? There's a relationship. So what does that mean? Let me quickly write a comment here. So I can say, let's do this. All right. So I can say, let me just show you an example on how to document some of these things. So you can say, so the results above, all right, shows a close relationship, right, between the costs of goods, okay, and the revenue by months. All right, so we just took a look at the what when I say there's a relationship, that means, does it mean that the amount of effort we put in equates the result we get? Beautiful. So when you see the word revenue, of course, revenue, it's your, we can liken that to your result, all right? Cost of goods, your effort. So does it mean that the more effort we put in, the more likely we'll get a good result? It doesn't happen always that way, because you could spend a lot in production and then the market might not favor your plans, all right? So we can't say there's a correlation there. So I'm just showing you how to make inference, all right? So like I said, SQL is used for carrying out analysis, all right? You can answer several questions. So we can say the result above shows a close relationship between the cost of good and the revenue by months, respectively, okay? I'm using the word respectively because we saw when we checked the cost of goods, yeah, we saw there was a relationship, close values, 110,000. This is 103.91. The same pattern, January, March, February, 110, 103.91. This is for cost of goods, 110, 103.91. Let's check this. You can see 116. This we had 103. This is 108 now. We had 91 in cost of goods. This is 95 in this thing. So there's kind of a relationship. So if you plot this in Power BI or Excel using a scatter plot and then put in your trend line, you can see there's a value, there's a correlation, the correlation factor now, correlation coefficient. So if it's equals, if it's 1, if it's 1.01, All right, that means there's a strong correlation. That means you can predict it with so much certainty that if the cost of production increases, then we would have revenue. That's relationship. So you get to visualize this and understand it better when you are visualizing it using a scatter plot. Okay, a scatter plot is used to check the correlation between two numeric or two or more numeric values. All right, so this is what I mean by there's a close relationship by months respectively. So I'm just showing you how to. So we can also say um let me try to augment this. Okay, so this can say that this means, okay, an increase in the cost. Okay, let's try it. Yeah, beautiful. An increase in the cost of production, okay, of goods. So we're trying to bring it back home. We're trying to communicate now, having gotten insight from our data. The more, okay, let me put here, the more likely. So that's what correlation mean. Cause and effect. All right, the more likely an increase the more likely an increase in the revenue being generated. Okay, so when you're carrying out analysis, so always think beyond the numbers, beyond what data set is showing. What does it really represent? All right, so we can just see. So we can plot this in a graph now, and this is what we can denote. All right, you can say that the result above shows a close relationship between the cost of goods and the revenue by month respectively. All right, what does that mean? What does that mean? We're interpreting the data set. This means an increase in the cost of production of goods, the more likely an increase. I use the word, I see how careful I'm using my words because it does not suggest a very strong correlation. However, if you plot that on a scatter plot using these values, so you put probably your cost of goods on the x-axis and your revenue on the y-axis, you can see there will be a relationship. All right, you see where the dots, whether they are outliers or not. So this means, what does it mean? It means that if we increase the cost, so this is a cost, all right, this in this case, cause and effect. So an increase in the production of goods is the cost, and the effect that will be seen as a result of the increase in cost of production will be an increase in revenue. All right, so remember I mentioned this in our Power BI project. Does reading for more than 5 hours suggest that students will do better? So can we say that if students read more than 5 hours, they are more likely to have good grades? All right, people who are born within 1999 and 2000, they are more likely to be intelligent. Is there a correlation? How strong? So the correlation coefficient is usually between 0 and 1. All right, we can have 0.1. That means it doesn't suggest a strong correlation. That means we can't say there's a cause and effect relationship. But if the correlation coefficient is about maybe 0.5, 0.7, 0.8, we can say, okay, there's a correlation. 0.8, there's a strong correlation. All right. If you're with me, you can type that in the comment section. All right, so that I can proceed. All right, so this is just the way. So this is just the way to do your analysis. All right, you see how I'm just thinking. I'm thinking beyond these queries. The queries are just a means to an end. All right, queries are just a means to an end. Are they important? Yes. Okay, are very important. The destination. This is the destination. Generating insight and making recommendations. So I've generated insight now. So the recommendation I can make here is to say, okay, increase the cost of production during this period of the month or the year, this first quarter, and then I'm sure we'll have a revenue. Okay, so that's what it means. So this is the destination. All right, this is the purpose vehicle to go there. Okay, I'm yet to get a response on the chat. Are we still there, please? Can I get a response? Okay. Okay. All right. Um, so the next thing we'll do is let's check. This is the foundation, so that's why I'm taking my time. Which product line generated the largest revenue? All right. So let's copy this. So when next you are carrying out analysis and generating KPIs, you should know what to interpret, all right, and how to interpret it. Okay, change this to a comment. So I'll just run through this. All right, which product line generated the largest revenue? How does this help the data set? What does this mean? Which product line generated the largest revenue? So how do we do it? We'll say um, let me copy this. Select. Okay, so we can say select changes to product line. All right, which product line generated the largest? So when you see these words, I'm saying this again, largest, what will come to your mind is okay, aggregate function, largest product line. Okay, what next? So we're still going to use the sum and then the total revenue. So remember I said we are retrieving the colon product line that this question refers to. However, we want to gauge it with a metric. All right, we want to see it. So it's just like saying um yes, when I made this example, made use of this example, credit card, and we have to see a metric specifying or answering the question as to largest revenue. Okay, so we say some of which changes to total. So we're calculating the total as total COGS. No, this will be as total revenue. Let me just put it as rev. Okay, so as total revenue from retail group by. So we're going to group by each product line. So they say why are we using group by? Just trying to cement our understanding. Which product line? That means is referring. You see, these are word problems. Which product line? That means it's not referring to just one. Which? That means there are several product lines. So how do we know them? We're going to group the. And if you understand the syntax, you understand. You know that when you're using the group by, group by is always accompanied with an aggregate function. So group by now the product line so it will count all of the products and then group it um, into each of the products. So order by total rev. So whatever you're aliasing it as, you order it by that nomenclature. So you say select product line total sum from retail group by product. So if you run this, it will categorize all of them, and so you can see. So this is it. You can format it. Let's format it. Okay. So you can format it so that we have it. So you can see the highest is 56. Which product line generated the total revenue? So food and beverages. So it shows that most people purchase food and beverages. Of course, you should know how to make recommendations from this, right? And how to also boost the performance of health and beauty electronic. You can as well you shouldn't always focus on the most selling product. You can also see how you could focus on the least selling product, and if it's to strategize, make um, do advertisements, campaign strategies. This could all of this. It could mean the least selling product could mean we don't have so much visibility here. all right, brand weakness, all right. So we've not really put this product out there in the market. That's why they're not selling well. Not that people are not patronizing it. All right. So all of this, so you could still make this top your chart. Your priority should always be on, not should always be, you should have, um, you should channel your focus and energy sometimes to all of these products. All right. So this could home and lifestyle. This could mean weak brand visibility. All right. They're not seen. And if they're not seen, who will buy? All right. So the next question is which city contributed the most revenue? Which city contributed the most revenue? So it's just the same thing, and I'll just be walking us through it. So say which city would change this to which city generated the most revenue? Okay. You can say select, copy this again. You see how SQL is very intuitive and friendly. So we say select city, change this to city. Which city contributed the most revenue? We're still working with most revenue. Which city? Which city? Just know that you have to group by which city. That means there are several cities, all right? So format from using the sum as total as can say total rev two. Leave that. So we'll group by. So when you say which, so we're going to group by to see each city rather. So you say city, group by city, order by total rev. Okay, we run this. So it's the same thing. So you can see these are the cities, all right, that contributed. So you can see that this very first one contributed to the contributing um, almost 60% of the revenue being generated, all right, or it could be more than that, 110, all right, thousand. So this is one, this is that, this is it for this question. Which city contributed the most revenue? You can still generate insights from this, all right. Can we you can say, so if we're looking to penetrate this city Mandalay, okay, we could begin to we could begin to partner with different e-commerce, um, different business, different retail, different company, different brand. We can begin to partner with them here strategically, all right, to increase brand visibility here so that we can generate revenue. Is the economy favorable in this city? Don't just move because you move with data, you move with what's happening, all right. So I'm showing you how in real life you can begin to, okay, there's a company here in Mandalay, all right. How are they doing? How long have they been in this? How long have they been selling in this market, in the Mandalay market? How long? All right. I will partner with them, and that's how, if you want to generate revenue, what's their currency? If this is a country, for example, because I believe in different cities, all of these are in one country, so they'll be making use of the same currency. But if it's in a different country, all right, how do you carry out analysis? You could be a product analyst, all right. So you look at the market, how have they been doing in the last 2 years? If we come in partnership with them, what can we offer? How do we drive sales? Who is going to be the face out there, all right. So this is how you carry out analysis. You are asking questions, all right. In real world, it's in real scenario. It's not one day, it's not 2 days. This could be months, and you have to be patient, because when you even make recommendations, your recommendations will not really play out at that instance. It could be weeks. You could say, okay, let's make a recommendation. Let's say in the next 2 years, let's look at how this product will do. So all of this is a lot of experience, or this is a lot of this is a lot of time that we're trying to just show you what's happening in like 2 hours. Because if you're making recommendations, before the recommendations will play out, it could be months. You are testing it to say, okay, this is what we can do. So this is how you carry out analysis. All right. So let me see how I could All right, so so let's see how we could round up. I'm just glad that I've been able to, expatiate on something that are very critical. So we say which product line has the highest VAT? Okay, we could do this in the next 10 minutes. All right. So paste it. All right. So how do we go about this? Which product line has the highest? I will copy this. So it's the same thing. All right. It's the same thing. Product line. Which product line? So we change this to city to product, from city to product line. All right. Product line, and we'll make use of the average function. Okay, so this is also an aggregate function. As average, you can say this as average VAT. This is value added tax. If you are into business, if you are into, of course, you'll be taxed in it. Group by, so we'll group this by product line, right? Order by average tax, right? So you can see home and lifestyle appliances, they are the product line that receive the highest tax. All right. Um, yeah, it's logical anyway. Home and okay, there's no, all right. So you can see that and spot, and we know how to go about the business. All right. So see, one thing that just came to mind now. If home and lifestyle appliances have the average tax, probably by government or by an institution, or there's government that usually gives tax, you can begin to say, okay, if, because in reality no one really likes, to be taxed that much. So we can decide to, okay, thank you for the notification, thank you. All right, so we can decide to um, see how we can reduce cost of production here, so that we can generate more profit or revenue whilst we're still incurring a lot of tax from the government. Are you seeing how we're making analysis, right? Because this is the product that is taxed the most rather. So we can reduce cost to maximize profit. That's optimization. All right. So that's a whole lot of the whole topic on its own. So let's see what we have here. So we say which brand sold more products than the average number of products sold. Should we do that? Let me copy it. Control copy. Just let me see if I can touch the remaining two questions. I'll call it a day. Do changes to okay. So we select this. Control C. Enter. So we say select brand. Which brand? So you see how we are analyzing it. So you can call this as total quantity. Okay, from retail branch, changes to branch. So this is how you do it, and you can see this as total quantity. Okay. Sorry, which branch sold more product than average number of products sold? So we're not using average here, we're using the sum. Okay. Which brand sold more product than average? So we're summing the total quantity. Okay, there's a column called quantity here. Quantity. All right. So if you come over here, you see the product called quantity here. Where is it? So this is, where is my quantity? Okay, quantities. So that's what the question means. Okay, so which branch sold more products? So we're gauging it the performance by quantity. So if you run this, than average number of products sold, total quantity branch, retail. What's happening? Okay, I said brand, not branch. Sorry, not brand, branch. So branch, okay. Okay, I think that's where the mistake came from. So you can see branch A, branch C, branch D, B rather. So I won't go into that much. So let me see if I can cap it here. So gender-based popularity is the same thing. What is the most commonly purchased product by gender? So so this is almost like customer analysis anyway, but you can still see it here. So you can see, so who is interacting with our product, customer behavior, all right? Who is interacting with our product? Is it the female gender? Is it the male gender? So how do we do that? Okay. So we say we'll copy this. So we say select gender, right? Select gender. So which is the most commonly purchased product line? So we want to compare two variables now. Which is the most commonly purchased product line, all right, by gender. So we're making a comparison here. So we can bring in um, return two columns, product line. Okay. So we say we change this to count. So we're counting which is the most commonly purchased. So we're counting all our gender. We're counting the occurrences that gender, the number of occurrences that gender appeared. Right? Gender. Let me not format this so that I don't confuse us. Okay. Let me get rid of this. So as you can see, count of gender, okay, from retail, group by gender and product line. Okay. Order by count of, okay, there's a comma supposed to be here. All right, so this is it. So we can run the query. All right. So this is it. So you can say the female, all right, gender purchase more fashion accessories. It's a bit logical because, all right, ladies have a thing with fashion and well, it depends, but if you look at it logically than guys, all right. So you can say the product line female patronizes more of fashion accessories and they have the highest count. Are you saying they have the highest count? All right, female like fashion accessories more than guys. Okay, so we can also but at some point you can also what's the word now, recommendations. How can you give recommendations? You can give discount on products if you want to boost all of these products also. All right, if you want to boost all of these electronic accessories and the rest, you can rebrand once in a while. There's what we call maximum utility. I think that's in economics that I was taught, or we were taught. Maximum utility, if you keep on making use of taking something, if you keep on eating meat pie, at some point you satisfied, or I think it's the maximum utility, where you get to that point where it no longer interests you. Right. So once in a while, people get tired of something, keep on eating fried rice, for example, or chicken. You get tired. You want to have a variety or taste of something else, right? So once in a while, that's why you see some products they go out of the market. It's not as if there are no sales, but it's more like rebranding. They come out fresh, right? I can relate to this very well. There was a time where Omo, this normal detergent, the time I think that was around, is it 2011 or 2012 or 2013, it went out of the market, and after a while it came back, okay, with a different branding. So sometimes you can rebrand once in a while just for maximum utility. All right, so that's it with the, so you can see how gender relates to purchase. All right, so the final question for today will be, all right, so what is the average customer rating for a product line? Okay, just run through this. Okay, control, copy. Let me see, I can do this in a couple of minutes. So, see what is, okay, changes to can copy this, almost the same thing here. Okay, so if you look at the question, it's simple to understand. What is the average customer rating for each product? So what we want to do is to see how customers rate our product. These are key questions. It's not, you ask relevant questions. Don't just ask unnecessary questions that will not generate something meaningful. All right. Learn how to, it's a skill too. So data analysis is beyond getting numbers. You have to have that skill of asking questions. So that's the question. That's the rating over there. You can see the rating here, right? So we come over to this. It says what is the average customer rating for each? How do they rate our product? Let's see. Let's analyze that. So we see select product line. So we change this to from total the average. So we're taking an average of the rating. So we are using the average colon as an argument in the average library function. All right. So we don't need to format this because the average is already in, I think, in one decimal point place rather. So we say average as average rating. Okay, from retail, group by product line, all right, and order by average rating. So, okay, let's get rid of this. What is this issue? Okay, we have a comma here. All right, so if we run and hatch this query, this is what it will give us. Okay, I think this is why I need to use my format. Let's format this. Why is it giving me that? Let's format it to two decimal places or one. All right, so this is it. So food and beverages, people rate food the more. All right, people rate food the more than every other thing. Of course, the three order of things in Maslow's hierarchy. Okay, it's, I think food comes before shelter and then clothing. So those are the three basic needs a man has. Okay, food. That's Maslow's law of Maslow's hierarchy, right? The needs are different from wants. So people rate food more than every other thing here. 7.1. Food and beverage has a high, followed by health. Of course, food, shelter, clothing. All right. See fashion, accessories, followed by fashion. Wow, wow, wow. I'm just even noticing this. So you can see that food is rated the highest because the same man must chop first before any other thing. So we have health here, which is also priority. People rate, and then fashion accessories, all right, followed by sports, extracurricular activities, electronics, and home and lifestyle. So it's who is. Let me put it in how is it put now? Now who chop? Now they think of lifestyle, right? Living the life. So most of the time it's survival first, all right, before you can even begin to think of lifestyle, right? You need to secure what you would eat to sustain, and then all of this in hierarchy of things. Food comes first, followed by shelter and then clothing, right? So I think this kind of follows the order of things. So all right, I think we'll call it a day here because our time is already up. Okay, are we still there? Hello, are we still there? Can I get a comment in the this comment section? All right. Let me get your response. I hope we've learned a lot of things today. All right. So I look forward to the time where we'll be able to go over this again. So if there's time, we can go on sales analysis and then customer analysis. Right. So that's I just took time to help us understand the basics, so you can see how we are generating insights. Good to have us on the call again. I've missed you all, honestly. Right. And um, looking forward. I can't really wait to see us doing great exploit out there. So gradually we'll be coming to the end, right? Hopefully before the week run out, we should have our assessment and um, finish on our project and then get feedback from us, and then we'll be here to provide mentorship as well, myself and Mr. Daniel and TEFEM management. So thank you so much. I really appreciate our turnout, regardless of the time, the impromptu um, communication. All right. So unfortunately, I can't hear our voices. All right. So, but well, we work with what we have at the moment, and I hope we get to keep in touch. So go ahead and recreate this. All right. Go ahead and recreate this. Go ahead and recreate this, and practice the more. Practice the more, so you can see we've come a bit far. So we've answered generic questions, more like exploratory data analysis and understanding our data sets and getting abreast with what needs to be done. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. I can see you all, the Loretta, Adebayo, um, Mulat. Yeah, have Joy there, Loretta. Oh, we have Sarah, Deborah, Ninye. How do I pronounce that? Rachel, I can see you. Esther, Dennis, Joy. Yeah, okay. Mary Jane, Beverly, Kate Frank. All right. Glory, I can see you. Priscilla, well done. Thank you so much for joining in. Victoria, Elizabeth, Onye, Dikachuku. Okay, yeah, I can see you all. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the turnout. All right. So we have the data set. Go ahead and practice it. If you have any questions, you can ask, reach out to me via my channel of communication on the group chat. I'll push out the notes to us and then the questions, and then we get to practice the more. All right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the time. I hope we learned a lot. If you have any questions, since this is not very interactive, please reach out to me on my DM, and I'll try to answer as quick as possible.